So you've signed, you've sold, you've trained, you've prepared for everything for the season. What do you do on match day? That's the next part of our beginner's guide to Football Manager. This is episode number 5. I'm Chasing Lamely. Do like, subscribe, ring the bell, and leave comments if you've got any questions. And I will be back in just a second. We'll talk you through game day on Football Manager 2024. So game day is upon us, and as you can see, we're playing at home to Brentford in our first game in charge of Manchester United. I'm going to walk you through just the whole picking a team and whatnot. I've been having a little play already, but I'll show you all the way through. So the first thing you'll get on match day, aside from the fixture list, is a tactical meeting. I always recommend, especially if you're new, to take the opposition instructions, advice from your assistant manager. They do in theory know what they're doing. It will tell you maybe to suggest going from positive to attacking, or tell you to change your mentality. I tend to stick with the same tactic. If it's a big team, I might take these options, these suggestions. But for a game like today, I'm not going to change just for Brentford. You can, of course, select next match only. Historically, doesn't work terribly well on FM, but if you can get it working, good for you, go with God. We're going to go with just what we've got in front of us. So this is the team I've picked. We're going to clear things up, though, just so I can talk you through how we would do this. There are various ways of doing it. Of course, select the tactic you want to play from up here, and you can go through all your individual instructions, which we'll go through in just a moment, because I did avoid telling you about the individual instructions and the in-transition instructions, largely because if you're new, this will bog you down. It's kind of a get used to how the game works, and then tweak things as you see things in the match engine is the way we go with this. So there are essentially 3 ways to pick a team. You can get selection advice from your assistant manager. He'll tell you this is the team he thinks you should pick, and if you click the use suggested squad, he will essentially pick a team for you. You can also hit quick pick, which literally does a quick pick and picks all the players for you. Or of course you can do it manually, and there's 2 ways of doing it manually. I like to make sure I have my under 21 squad filtered on, because if I've got anyone with potential that's coming up, I don't want to miss them out. You can drag and drop from down here. It can be a pain. You can drag them either onto the pitch or you can drag them into a position here. I find that using the pick player drop down is better, because it tells you who is best for that role in that order, and you can just kind of go down. We know that Aaron Wan-Bissaka is slightly better than Diego Dallo at playing as a wing-back. At our back 2, I think today we're going to go with Quartes, and let's, for the sake of seeing him, put Pau Torres in there as well. And then at left-back, we probably put in Luke Shaw, quite simple. Then you just kind of go down, so we'll put Caicedo as our holding midfielder, because he is the best option there. We'll have probably Casemiro or Bruno Fernandes there, depending who does this better. So Bruno Fernandes does that role better there. Kind of see how nice this comes together. As an inside forward on the right-hand side, it wants me to put Marcus Rashford there. I would be inclined, probably because of our injury problems, to put Jadon Sancho on the right-hand side, because on the left-hand side we're probably going to put Marcus Rashford, and then up top we'll put Olivier Giroud, because we've got him in our squad. Now for the bench, it's slightly harder to pick player that way, because it will just put players in order. What I like to do is have players in there by position. So what I'll almost never have a goalkeeper on the bench. You'll see if you watch my saves. Almost never a goalkeeper on the bench. What I will instead try to do is have every position on the pitch covered as best I can. So we'll put Dallo, Barco, Maguire, who else have we got that's fit in a centre-half there? Lautaro Martinez, we'll put him in there. I will have Fred on the bench, probably. No, we'll go Christian Eriksen. He can play as a holding midfielder. In fact, using the filters as well, one thing to do is filter out players who aren't available. They're just cluttering up the screen, and no one likes to see them. So who else are we going to put on the bench then? I think we'll put Donny van de Beek on the bench, just because he should be good enough. And obviously I want a couple of wingers on the bench as well if I can. So who have we got here that can play on the wing? We'll put Garnacho on the wing as an option. We will have, I would normally have a Langer there, but I know I can move people out wide. So I'll put McTominay on the bench, and I'll put Marcos Leonardo on the bench there. You might want to get, when you've got this kind of set up, look at your player instructions just to see who is doing what. You just kind of click on a position, it will tell you what you've got set up. Again, we're going to leave this as its bare basics. We don't want to go into a deep tactics tutorial right now, because that does take time. Also have a look at how they're playing, because this will be their predicted lineup and formation, and see if there's anything in there you can exploit. Asking your assistant here as well might give you a couple more added opposition instructions. So first thing to look at, I think, is always the fullback. So we can see that they've got decent pace there, really good pace on the left-hand side. On the wings, they've also got good pace, as you'd expect. So we're going to probably stick with having our wider fullbacks, doing wider fullback things if we can. We also know we might have to switch things up to counter that. Set pieces should already be set up for you. You should already have set up who is taking things as well. If it hasn't, obviously go through all of your things again. Penalty takers, get them all nicely set up. We've already got Fernandes there. I probably want to have Olivier Giroud as my backup. Telles will have Rashford in there ahead of Eriksen because he's better at it. Standard stuff. You can kind of go down. When you're setting up penalty takers, penalties first, composure second, finishing third is always the best way to go there. And having given that advice, that means that Eriksen should in fact be ahead of Rashford. Paying attention and also make sure you get your captain set up. I've got Fernandes and Quartes as our captains for this season. They felt like the two best options in the squad when I set it up. So once you've got all that done, submit your team. Very straightforward, and you're going to get a couple of little screens that appear here. This is just the feedback. So Diego Costa doesn't think that dribbling more is aligned with the standard dribbling in the squad. That's an interesting feedback to pay attention to and see how that works out on game day. And then you've got Bruno Fernandes who wants to go into battle with Rico Henry, which probably won't happen, but that's life. So we can go to match, you'll get a little loading screen where it says teams are warming up, and I'll rejoin you after that so you can see what's going on next. So once you set up your team, you'll see both teams' team sheets. You might notice a few changes here as well as here. Well, you shouldn't notice any here, you've firmed your team. You might notice a couple of changes from what it predicted on this side. So you'll also find the staff might have some more opinions for opposition instructions. So never press Rico Henry. We'll go with that for now. We can always change it back, and then we'll go into the dressing room. Now, they've tweaked this year because there used to be a set series of buttons I knew I could press and get a reaction. It doesn't work anymore. So, you can go with your assistant suggestion, you can read through them. Each of these gestures will essentially change how you deliver things. So, thrashing arms, you'll be doing it angrily and it will eliminate a couple of options. Outstretched arms will be like praising them, pumped fists, get them hyped up. We want to get them hyped up. It's the first game of the season, so let's tell them home form is important to us. Let's make it count. Nothing really changes. You can go into the individual ones and you can say, I want to see solid defensive work out there. I want to see you controlling the midfield. It's definitely a thing we want to do. And of course, we want Olivier Giroud to hit the ground running, show everyone why he's here. Then you've got a tunnel interview. They are very boring and they will honestly ask you the same questions 50 times over. How are you feeling making your debut? Or just say, great, sure, how important is performance? Answer these as you see fit, essentially, but you will get bored. There's only about 12 questions, and they will come up. Then we get into our pre-match warm-ups kind of thing, our kind of TV cam setup to take you through the introductions. Pay attention to down here, or it will tell you any kind of key tidbits. Who is good at what? Who is a star player? Who's getting good stats? Then you get a league table. Nice and straightforward, very self-explanatory. Before we get into the game, the players will start coming on the pitch. There we go, right on cue. They'll line up to do their whole standing for whatever thing, and then we'll kick off. Now, pause the game here. You will have options in the top corner for how you want to set up your camera and how you want to set up your replays, what replays you'd like to see. I like to leave that on fairly standard. One thing I'd normally do is have it on key highlights just because I don't want to see every little pass. But we're going to go on comprehensive highlights today just so I've got a little bit more time to talk you through things. Also, I like to have it set up so match speed between text highlights is fine. We'll have match speed during highlights just a touch higher than normal. And you can obviously have sound on or off. We're going to have it off so you can hear what I'm saying and we'll go from there. So, I'm going to kick off highlight here. One thing to pay attention to is how people are moving. So, if you look at in possession, you can see here. And actually, when you're learning the game, camera-wise, sometimes having a data analyst camera here can be a really good idea, just so you can see what's going on the pitch. So we can see they are predicted to play a 4-5-1, but they're in possession here, and you can see they've gone to 3 at the back, 2 in midfield, and 5 players pushing forward. We'll see that develop here as we go on to see how people are moving. Rico Henry has moved up to be more of a holding midfielder in possession. He'll drift out wide. They've got their holding midfielder in there. And you can see now we've got the ball. Players will start moving around. That was a really inconvenient time for a highlight. We'll see what happens when we're in possession here. So throw-ins wise as well, you'll see what's happening from this camera quite nicely as well. We can see what's working, what's not working, wait for things to shake out. Jadon Sancho getting an early chance there. Giroud picking up the ball, coming deep. And we can see here, let's do a little pause whilst we're in possession here. So Moises Caicedo has been joined in the defensive midfield by Bruno Fernandes. We have got Casemiro in his usual position. Giroud has dropped deep. Sancho has come inside, as has Rashford. And we've got Luke Shaw playing more out wide. Staying back, just Pau, because it looks like Coates has done what we expect him to do and move up just a little bit as well. That's moved quite nicely. We've got ourselves a free kick. And you can kind of see how everything develops from this camera. It's not the most exciting camera to watch the game from in terms of performance, but it's a really good camera to see if your tactics are working and if people are doing what you're asking them to do in various positions and so on and so forth. And Casemiro is going to take a pop there, and Flecken has done well with it. We'll go back to the camera where you can actually see what's going on for the next set of highlights. And there we go. We've got Sancho running inside now, doing exactly what we expect him. Lays it off for Rashford, for Shaw. Shaw in the box. Caicedo gets cut off by Jensen. What you'll find is team cohesion will play a big part in how well your passes connect. But let's just take a second here and pause, and we'll have a look at what we've got on our sort of match tablet, touchline tablet as they call it. Now, typically speaking, I would set this up with the league table here, and I would like to have Brentford's formations next to Brentford's stats, my formation next to my stats, because I can see what's going on better. So you have how well people are performing. Rating out of 10 goes in 0.1 increments. Anything above a 7 will be highlighted in green because it's good. Anything below a 6 will be highlighted in red because it's bad. And anything in the 6 is a very mediocre performance. The visualizer tells you the last kind of things that have happened and where the attacks are going, where the action is happening. Fairly self-explanatory. The table, of course, formation. If they change formation, this will change. This little bit with the little dash here will tell you what role the players are playing, same as yours. So you get a more developing idea of what's going on. And you have your match stats over here. Down here, your tactics and subs. You want to make a bunch of substitutions or change your tactics. Click in there. That'll get the job done. And likewise, if you want to change any instructions for your players, you can do it in there quite easily. Nice and straightforward. You can shout at your players. So if it's 0-0 beginning of your game, shout some instructions. I don't know why we're currently moving forward. That could have been embarrassing. You can change your tactics whenever you've got preset using that one, and you can change your mentality using that one. And if you click on individual players, you can sub them, you can shout individual instructions at them, change that player's individual instructions, or change that player's individual role to match up with the game. So let's carry on through, see if anything unforeseen pops up. Have a little bit of match action because we've had 4 episodes without any. I know some people really just want to see match action. As Rashford picks a pocket there, does exactly what I want to be doing. Pressing high up the pitch. Can he get himself cut inside on his good right foot? Finds Caicedo. He finds Shaw, who's kind of the width out there. Doing what we want him to do, connecting quite well. Shaw gets a cross in. Pinnock heads it wide. We are, of course, looking for Bruno Fernandes to kind of drift out wide and cover for Rashford. Luke Shaw taking the corner. We could have gone direct to Cam there, or the analyst Cam there, seeing what's going on in the box. We can see here they're trying to build from the back. Brereton Diaz doing a thing for them. And Caicedo is going to move the ball forward. Nice and easy. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to let the game roll on. We're not going to do the full match com. I'm going to come back in just a moment when we have something to talk about. So we've made it through to half time, and I often skip this screen, but there's a lot of good stuff in here. Not quite beginner level stuff, but a lot of good stuff. So the match story, for example, tells you we started off slowly, but it took them longer to get into the game. And then once we finally got going in the second half, you can see we're 1-0 up. We really started taking them apart. You can click on here, get more advanced analysis of things should you want to, but it's rarely worth it. Because it's just going to tell you what your team size looks like and all that stuff. So nothing too advanced just yet, that's fine. Also look at our player stats for the game so far, so we can see how well people are doing with the passing. So Olivier Giroud's passing, not great, but that probably means he's not bedded into the team. See who are the guys who are likely to create chances. Marcus Rashford's made 1 cross and it's been perfectly successful. We have a lot of players who've been slightly more wasteful. So Luke Shaw crossing, not great. We'll have a look at his crossing stat. He should be good enough to get crosses over. Maybe he's being defended closely. That's something to watch out for. You can see who's attempting and completing their headers. Looks like Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes and Jadon Sancho not necessarily completing them. And shooting wise, you can see how many attempts they've made, how many they've got on target, and what percentage that works out at. 100% of what Olivier Giroud has tried has gone well. You can also see the conditioning, but also we can have a little look here at the Brentford stats, and you can also change things to give you more info on their body language, set pieces, etc., whatever you like. As I said, I'm keeping it simple. You can see they're doing much better passing-wise, completion-wise than us, but their crosses aren't doing anything, because our defending against crosses is working well. Tackling-wise, maybe a little bit more successful with less attempts, and in the air, they are slightly better overall than us, but Ben Brereton and Diaz not quite as good in the air. They've had no real attacking threat. They've had a couple of attempts on goal, but nothing on target. So we're doing well defensively for the first half. We're doing okay. Nothing to tweak here. We can also have a look at our analytical data, see where our shots are coming from. So shots with X's, off target. Shots without X's, on target and saved. Shots with stars when in, so we're scoring from very close range. And shots with the line through got blocked, very straightforward. And you can see here as well the shot map for Brentford. Their shots blocked, and I believe probably off target. There we go. You can see where the action's taking place. So we're controlling a lot of the midfield action, a lot of the defence. The action in our half we are controlling, and in defence we're controlling the game very well. We can see who's playing well, who's playing badly. Pau Torres not into the game yet, but there's not been a lot for him to do at the back. And then you can see here the average positions of players also really useful, because we can see Luke Shaw pushing forward a bit more as we'd like him to do. We can see that we have got one guy at the back, two in midfield, with the guys pushing forward that we expect them to, and our inside forwards are coming in. We also see here Brentford playing very narrow, very defensively. Getting around them is going to prove very effective. They are just trying to hold the middle of their half as tightly as they can. They're not really making it up the field. You can also look at the teams and see what's going on here. You can choose individual things, see what the shots look like from things. You can have it set up for you, for Brentford. You can look at both shots, see what's going on. Very straightforward, very self-explanatory. And again, average positions, I think you can actually, if you really, really want to, break this down by everything. So you can go to average position with the ball, but let's get rid of the shots because that's just blocking things up. And let's do we've been with the ball, we've been there with the ball. Without the ball, we are holding firm and average position overall. So you can even see from looking at the blue outline ones are the average position with the ball. You can kind of see where our average is. Get rid of that, you can look at the movement as well, get some really good idea of how we're playing. With an animated graphics now, beautiful stuff. Kind of tells you just how we're moving throughout the game, how things are looking. It's quite a nice little way to visualise just how things are, how the players are moving, how things are going on. You have a little play with that in your own time. I don't want to go through things in too big a detail. You can also just get his shots, or you can look at just how everything's doing. So scoring chances, you can look at where they're happening. Click on that, it shows you where that happens. Very straight. Have a long play with that in your own time. It's very, very useful to get to know that. And of course, you can see what's happening on the other grounds. It doesn't matter. We're not telling a story here. We're just getting through it. Your halftime team talk. We're 1-0 up against Brentford. So think about how you'd like to do that. I think I would say that things are going well. You're capable of better, which does nothing. I probably should have done something different there. And then look at the individual performances. I think defensive-wise, I can say you weren't bad. You can still improve. They've had nothing to do in midfield. They've been doing well, making a lot of play. Sometimes you get a player loses focus because reasons. Up front, we'll say Olivier Giroud has done well in attack, and it's calmed the player down. It's done okay. Kick things off. I should have showed you actually you can get into the tactical screen at half time, make any changes and tweaks you feel like you need to do. Second half, it's really kind of keep an eye on how these hearts look. If they go red, it might be time to think about taking that player off, but for now, we're just going to roll things forward. The dugout you'll see will populate with advice from your coaches that you can take or not take. It will tell you if they've changed their formation, which we can see here they've done. It will tell you when they make substitutions. That's always quite useful to know. Very simple stuff. It'll even give you updates on what's going on in the league. But, for now we're winning. Luke Shaw's going to pop in a corner. Olivier Giroud's going to miss the header. We've got ourselves actually another corner from that. That's good stuff. You'll see everything you need to see. It will pop up on the screen, give you all that advice. Very simple stuff. Shotri with another header. He's looking like a great signing for a 97-year-old man. How old is Olivier Giroud now? 36, and he's still leading our line very, very effectively. Good stuff from the old man. Doing well. We can kind of get an overview of what's going on. Bear in mind, a yellow card will drop your player's performance, so Luke Shaw's probably actually performing at a 6.8, but his performance not being quite so good. We're 10 minutes away from the end, so I'm going to show you how to make the substitutions as well. Very simple. One thing that's worth bearing in mind up here, you can have 3 stoppages for 5 substitutions. So if you make 3 individual substitutions and 3 separate stoppages, you don't get to use your last 2 subs. I learned that the hard way on last year's FM, and I learned it on camera. Let's stick in Valentin Barco, he's our new signing. We can stick Diego Dallo on to give Aaron Wan-Bissaka a bit of a rest, he's worked hard. Jadon Sancho replaced with Alejandro Garnacho, because why the devil not? And in fact, I think we might have a little look, just because this will be the last chance we get. Marcos Leonardo, see how good he looks. And anyone performing badly at the moment, I mean, Pau Torres isn't performing badly, but let's send Lisandro Martinez in there as well. And you can give a team talk to your little subs before they come on as well. So, for example, in this situation, I might do not a lot of time left. I'm expecting you to make an impact. Everyone seems like they enjoyed that. We'll confirm that substitution. And we'll carry on and we'll see if we can sneak a second goal just to have a nice little thing for you to look at, because you didn't get to see the first goal. It wasn't interesting. It was a tap-in from 3 yards out. But still, just kind of see how things develop in the game. Very straightforward, very simple. As I said, there's nothing complicated to match day management. I just want to make sure I went through it thoroughly. You'll learn to read the match engine as well. I feel like this is probably going to end in an equaliser. If I'm completely honest with you, I feel like there's probably an equaliser coming. As I said, you can make subs usually as well by clicking there and going through it. Mariano picking up the ball. Quartes makes an awful tackle. Hickey's going to get in the box here. Flicks it across goal. And somehow that's gone in off of 7 different players. Rico Henry scores. I told you, you learn to read the match engine. They say every year they've updated it. They've put a few fancy new animations in, but the development of play, you can always, once you've played FM long enough, you will always know what is coming and when things are coming. You'll get to know that was all over going to be an equaliser. This would be a good time to pause the game if we still have some time on the clock. Maybe we decide we want to see if we can get back into it. We go very attacking. We'll use a shout to encourage players or fire them up. See what they can do. You'll get a reaction here in the little smiley faces, how they feel about being fired up. We're going to run out of game time anyway. But you've had kind of a basic overview now of how the match engine works, how you manage your game. You'll get used to using shouts when and how and all that good stuff. Let's say they should be happy. It generally makes them tick. And then we'll probably get another tunnel interview, which always fun, all square, blah, 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 blah. You can send your assistant manager. You can walk out. You can end the interview early. You can do what you like. I didn't even read any of those questions, as you can probably tell. Finally, you'll get a kind of an overview of what happened today, how the table looks after that, how the media feels, and how the fans are reacting to what you do. You'll always get a good, a bad, and a meh, generally speaking, unless you've really screwed it up or really done well. You can also have little bits of news after the game, which are also sometimes interesting. You can do a press conference if you really want to. I wouldn't bother. It's honestly not that deep. So, I'm going to wrap the episode up there because I feel like I've waffled long enough about something quite simple, to be honest with you. But it's always nice to go through. If you have any questions, do leave them in the comments down below. If you're new around here, do subscribe to the channel. It helps me out. Lets me keep doing content like this. I'm hoping to get to that magic 1,000 subscriber mark by the end of this year's FM cycle. So if you can help me get there, please do. And like the video, it helps the algorithm do its thing and show more people this guide. So, thanks for watching, guys. I've been Chasing Lately. I'll be back in the next episode. We're actually going to go to a different club. We're going to talk about finances because I think it's more important the lower down the pyramid you go. We'll try and find a Conference North-South club with bad finances and see if we can fix them up. I'll show you how that's done, and then I'll wrap up the guide. I think with a guide, just a general guide to lower league management, which will be a little bit longer, I think, but it's a good way for you to learn how to manage outside the top 5 leagues in Europe, because honestly, the rest of them all kind of work on the same principle as the Conference North and South. So we'll come back with that in the last episode. Right, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you all very soon. I have, as I said, been Chasing Lately. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.